Relax.
Yeah, I'm not relaxing because I get very angry when you disgracefully misrepresent the picture.
Are you saying that far-right terrorism is a bigger danger to this country than Islamic terrorism? Is that what you're saying?
I think they're both a threat and a danger to this country.
Do you think they're an equal threat?
And I actually think
so you're comparing one horrific death to July 7th, the bridge. You're comparing that to one death. We have ISIS. We have so many Islamic terrorists. We have the Muslim Brotherhood that has infiltrated this country through the boat. And you are saying that Prevent should focus on far-right extremism.
No,
you have lost the plot, mate. You've lost the plot, Bill.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining us again, much appreciated. Can I just thank anybody who's subscribed recently? Thank you. Can I just thank you for that? And anybody who's liked any of the videos recently, much appreciated for that also. Thank you very much. We've got something interesting today, which is a little video about, it features Laila Cunningham and Bill Rammell. And Laila is the rising star of the Reform Party. She has really been doing the rounds recently and tearing a strip off anybody and everybody. She's not frightened at saying what she thinks, and she usually gets it right. It's pretty basic. It's common sense. I think common sense rules. And she is a Muslim, so she's talking about Islam and Muslims, and I think she's in a very good position to be able to do that, seeing as though she is one, and talking about that in reference to the problems we've got in the country right now, which nobody can deny. You know, this isn't an anti-Muslim thing, it's an anti-certain people in the Islamic community thing. That's what it is. And she understands it. She's worked in the judiciary, so she knows what's come through the door and what she's seen and the things that have come up and the crimes that have been committed. She knows all about it. And so this was a debate with Bill Rammell. Bill Rammell's an ex-Labour MP. He was junior cabinet minister or junior minister in his time when Tony Blair was in power. And he's usually brought on as a commentator on GB News to give the left's perspective on things. He's quite a rambunctious character himself. Got very, very, I would say, sort of quite hard left-wing views, personally, but he is quite an irritating guy. A lot of them are, depending on where your politics is. The debate really centred around Islam, and it centred around the Islamophobia debate, and they were also having a look at the counter-terrorism side of things and what's going wrong, and the fact that we seem to be kowtowing to the sort of Islamists within the Labour Party, which there's quite a few, and it was an interesting sort of spat about what is going wrong and how weak the Labour Party have been on certain things at the moment. And so, without further ado, I think we should have a look at it. So let's get into it. Here we go.
But I can understand anti-Muslim hatred, because when you see Muslim terrorists, when you see a government that's trying to impose Sharia law, when you see Muslim rape gangs...
The government's not trying to impose Sharia law. That's utter rubbish.
No, when they allow Sharia courts, when they're trying to impose Islamophobia laws, when they're allowing Muslim rape gangs to get away with it, obviously there is Muslim hatred. That's all they see. You can't blame them, because some Muslim communities come to this country and expect the country to change for them. And when it doesn't, they're called racist. But there's nothing racist about trying to protect your values, British values and way of life. It's called patriotism. And that's something that Labour have to recognise. We are not a Muslim country, and those that come here who are Muslim have to recognise that and not try and impose their way of life on others.
So what do you think of that, guys? I mean, you can't say fairer than that. There was nothing in there that's controversial. It's basically what every other country believes. You know, but we seem to not care about the people, the indigenous people of this country, and we seem to care more about minorities all the time. And more and more people are shipped into the country, and nobody is allowed to say anything. You know, you're not allowed to say anything. It doesn't matter. You've got hotels all around you packed with fighting age men. You can't say anything, else you go to prison. You know. And all she's saying is what the British people are seeing, what the indigenous people are seeing and why they are upset. That's all she's saying. Nothing else. You can't. It's not a controversy. It's a fact.
I think reform needs to learn that taking individual crimes by individual Muslim people and then aligning that with the whole of the Muslim community is wrong, reprehensible, and it is racist.
But we don't do that. But we don't. I'm Muslim myself. No, we don't. I don't blame my father or my family for the Muslim rape gangs. That is a particular group of disgusting men.
Absolutely.
And it's got nothing to do. Absolutely. But your party looked it over, and your party is still trying to cover it up. Yes, they are. They're trying to silence them. So when you have
this government is trying to change the law to allow previous cases that had been turned down to be properly investigated, and thousands of cases are coming forward.
Why was it turned down, Bill? Because your councillors and your MPs and your party looked it over. That's why. And it's only now that you're under public pressure to look it over that you're opening up again.
I've debated this with you before, Laila. Go back to the 2012, 2013, when Keir Starmer, as Director of Public Prosecutions, was one of the first people to grip this issue and say there's a real problem with grooming gangs and we need to overturn the law.
He wasn't part of the Labour Party then, and 250,000 girls were groomed and tortured under Labour constituencies, and your councillors and your MPs looked it over, looked the other way to protect their votes.
True.
So when the public see that we have a political party that is pandering to a Muslim vote, debating whether it's a criminal offence to criticise Islam, allowing Sharia courts to flourish, and then overlooking Muslim rape gangs, and then we have a prevent system that is actually chasing so-called far-right fantasy crimes and denying
the biggest number of referrals to the prevent programme are on the far right.
Well, that is a problem because
we have had no terrorist
attacks in this country from the so-called far right. We have had it from Islamic terrorists.
What about the guy who murdered Joe Cox? What about the man that murdered Joe Cox?
Listen, I'm not overlooking that. It was a terrible thing.
You just overlooked it.
No,
you just said there's no evidence for far-right extremism, and there was a far-right extremist who murdered a Labour MP.
Relax.
Yeah, I'm not relaxing because I get very angry when you disgracefully misrepresent the picture.
Are you saying that far-right terrorism is a bigger danger to this country than Islamic terrorism? Is that what you're saying?
I think they're both a threat and a danger to this country.
Do you think they're an equal threat?
And I actually think...
Wow. So you're comparing one horrific death to July 7th, the bridge. You're comparing that to one death. We have ISIS. We have so many Islamic terrorists. We have the Muslim Brotherhood that has infiltrated this country through the boat. And you are saying that Prevent should focus on far-right extremism.
No,
you have lost the plot, mate. You've lost the plot, Bill.
I'm talking about the referrals by the agencies to the Prevent programme, and the majority or the biggest number are on the far right. I actually think... Hold on.
Defunct. Prevent has no use.
You've got to stop interrupting.
So there we go. Not that I can't believe he brought that up about Prevent. I mean, Prevent it's obviously known that Prevent are not fit for purpose. You know, they're just infested with lefties, right? And of course, they're just ignoring all the Islamic terrorism, potential terrorism, ignoring all the fact that there's 40,000 jihadis on the MI5 terror watch. 3,000 of them are so dangerous they have to be watched 365 days a year, 24/7, just in case they do something. So how he can bring up Prevent when we all know it's been said by numerous people in certain power in positions of authority that it's totally full of woke lefties that are trying to cherry pick tiny bits of what they might think might be far right. And far right we're talking about here, the people that are getting reported to Prevent are people that have put, like Lucy Connolly, that have put a post on Facebook or a meme. They're not people that are mixing rice in the back bedroom, you know, or carrying a machete, you know, or stabbing people, or raping young girls, you know, around the country in grooming gangs. They're not those people. The people who put a post on Facebook, you know, what a ridiculous idiot. That's the trouble with the left. They're just full of people like that. Absolute ridiculous idiots like Bill Rammell, you know. Jesus Christ. That just made me so angry. I hope it made you angry too, because I hate being angry on my own. I don't see why I should suffer. But I mean, that's just a ridiculous argument. But what? She's such a She's so calm and collected. Is Laila Cunningham? She is a rising star. She's going to be a great MP eventually. She really takes it to people. She don't care. She absolutely just cut. She's not PC. We don't need PC anymore. We've had enough PC. It's ruined the country. PC. We need people like Laila Cunningham who just basically say it how it is, and tell people, how it is, and aren't ashamed to say it, and aren't going to get shouted over like she didn't then, and put her points across. Very good points. Anyway, thanks very much for that. Much appreciated. Very annoying. I'm sorry to have annoyed you, if I've annoyed everybody, but everybody needed to see that. So thanks anyway for joining us. Much appreciated. And I will see you on the next one.